And we're back. Michael Cernovich, Cernovich.com. The day Kanye West took over the internet. You can see it. This stuff is all measurable, but it is now Kanye's world, and we are all just living in it. So the question is, how do you take over the internet, and what is going on, and why do people not understand Kanye? It's an interesting thing. I find it culturally interesting and mimetically interesting for a number of reasons. One is, well, everybody's talking about him. And that's a fundamental measure of influence. Everyone is talking about Kanye West. All eyes are on him. I actually did a Google search, and I'm trying to get the iPad for my daughter, but she has the iPad, and I don't think she'd be happy if I show it to you. I'll see if she'll let me real quick. But if you go on to Google Trends, hey, baby, just let me show this one graph. If you go on to Google Trends, her reflexes are a lot quicker. So for those of you who don't know, I have an iPad, and the iPad is wired on another device so that I can show you whatever we're watching. So right now, Cyrus trying to watch cartoons, and I'm trying to show you, useful stuff on Twitter. So hold on, baby. I'll give it back to you just 1 second. 1 second, you can have it back. So if you go on Google Trends, you can see. Okay, you can have it back. You can see the blue line is Kanye, the red line is Trump, and that blue line is now overtaking Trump in terms of the internet. So more people are searching now for Kanye West than they are for Donald Trump. Now, what does that mean? A lot of people are going to get mad. Oh, the only reason people are, searching Kanye is because of Trump. And it's like, it's beyond that now at this point. Mimetically, why do people care, and what is going on? That is what I always find interesting, is how is it that some ideas spread, some don't? So let's look at the concept of dragon energy, right? Dragon energy is one of those phrases, like, what does it mean? What does dragon energy mean? Well, dragon energy is a feeling. It isn't a thought. You can't describe. Were these for me to wear on my head?
No, she usually likes to put that note if she was disrupting you.
She's not, because she's got the iPad now. So dragon energy is a feeling, not a thought. And people are like, what does it mean? Well, that's why it's powerful. The reason dragon energy is powerful mimetically is because you're able to impose your own meaning, your own feeling onto it. It's more universal. A feeling is more universal than a thought is, because once you have thought, you now have division. Once you have thought, you now have us and them. If I tell you, here's what I think dragon energy means, you will want to argue with me, especially if you're a man under 25 or a boomer. But if you don't look at it that way, you just look at it as a feeling, a vibe, then you understand why it's powerful mimetically. Another aspect that I think is interesting is that, what are you trying to do? But no, it's also interesting that, Kanye retweeted Ali Alexander's videos, and I don't think that has really been appreciated the way that it should be. And by that, I don't mean, because Ali's my friend, blah, blah, blah. Think about it 5 years ago, 10 years ago. How would you ever get at Kanye, so to speak? How would you look at my demo tape? That is where the decentralization component of Kanye's tweet said. Remember, Kanye tweeted out decentralization? Well, that's decentralization in action. The idea that you can be somebody, I don't want to call Ali a nobody. I'm not saying nobody. You can be an unknown person, maybe in a celebrity world necessarily, but yet you can reach the most famous people in the world. That's what decentralization means. Before, if you wanted to get at Kanye, you'd have to go to TMZ, or you'd have to go to the mainstream media. You'd have to go through the news. But now that information is decentralized and there are fewer gatekeepers, you can be Ali on Periscope, and Kanye West is watching your videos, where once upon a time, if Kanye wanted you to watch his videos, he had to go through MTV. Do you understand the gatekeeper and decentralization, why that might interest an artist, right? So think about that for a minute if you're an artist. If you want people to hear your tracks, you have to go to an FM station. What is a radio station? Well, that's a gatekeeper. The gatekeeper can say, well, we'll play it, we won't play it, here's how many times we'll play it. They would control distribution. The same thing with record companies. You had a few record companies. The same thing was true of music videos. If you wanted people to watch your music videos, you had to go through a gatekeeper. The same thing was true of political commentary. Why do you have to go through Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, whatever networks there are in order to get a political message out? Well, you had to. The gatekeepers had all the power. And now that power is decentralized. So there's another so people who think Kanye doesn't know what he's doing aren't really understanding it. Another component of the Kanye thing is attention, is influence. Kanye's talking about desalinization. People might say, well, desalinization, why is he talking about that? Well, once you have attention, you can talk about anything that you want to talk about. That's the mistake a lot of people make. And it's how you can tell kind of the difference between a real thinker and just a stunt person. Some people, they don't have any, if they're throwing a stunt, they're fine, but they don't have anything outside of a stunt. They get the attention, but once they have the attention, they don't really know what to do with it. Well, Kanye, he's got massive attention. Literally, he has more attention in a measurable way than Donald Trump. And he's talking about desalinization, because just because you have attention for A doesn't mean you have to talk about A. You can also talk about B. And that's another component, again, people just aren't seeing, because right now you're watching, if you read the news right now, other than me, you're watching, the present. Here's what Kanye's doing. Here's what Kanye said. Here's what Kanye's tweeting. But what does it mean and where is it going forward, right? What does it mean and where is it going towards? And what are the bigger trends? Well, the trends that this is going for, and there's a guy named Naval Ravikant who had a great Periscope on this last night, and he wrote a great article in American Spring about it, is if you want to run for president, you can. Now think about that for a minute. It didn't used to be, they used to say, oh, in America, anybody can be president. Oh, is that why John F. Kennedy was president? Oh, you don't know who Joe Kennedy was? You don't know Joe Kennedy was a famous bootlegger and very well-connected and very rich person who anointed his sons to be in the Senate and to be just anybody can be president if you set your mind to it. No. There were always massive gatekeepers, and the gatekeepers were either a rich family. John Kerry versus George W. Bush, both were skull and bones. I mean, think about that for a minute. Oh, secret societies aren't real. I mean, literally, we had a presidency where John Kerry, who was a nobody, and George W. Bush, who had never accomplished anything in life, let's just be honest, before he became president, he was not an accomplished man. You can like him, whatever, I don't really care, but that's just the facts. But they had both been in Skull and Bones. So Skull and Bones was the gatekeeper. And who was the gatekeeper there? Well, Yale was. Because if you're not in Yale, you can't get into Skull and Bones. And do you understand? So there were all these gatekeepers in place where even in a so-called democracy, there was no democracy. We're actually moving towards democracy. That's what people mean when they say populism. If you like it, if you like the result, it's democracy. If you don't like the result, it's populism, right? Oh, there's a populism revolt. Oh, you mean there's a democratic revolt for the first time in people's lives? They can actually get in touch with people like Kanye, influencers. They can actually get in touch with the president directly. You mean if they want to run for president, they don't have to be born into the right family? They don't have to go to Yale? At 18, the die is cast. If you're not at Yale when you're 18, the die is cast. It's just over for you, right? So that's what I'm talking about. Those are the gatekeepers, the centralized power. Yale, Geffen Records, Universal Records, all these big record companies. You hear a lot of artists who are very, very megastars. You know what they do? They complain that they're making less money than before. And by the way, that's true. They're right. But you know what they're not paying attention to is if you're like a would-be artist, you've never had a better opportunity to monetize your art. So if you're, it used to be, because of gatekeepers, you would be Guns N' Roses. You would be the massive band and you would do the 100 million albums. You'd be the big hit. And then otherwise you would just be nobody. You were either Guns N' Roses or you were nobody. Now it is not the case that you're either somebody or nobody. There's all these niches. So you can be, so if you're Excuse you, we don't scream that way. Do you understand? That's not how we communicate. If you would like a new video, I will get you one, but we don't communicate this way. Which would you like? We will get you Mickey Mouse. Is that okay? Does that fit you, Your Highness? So it used to be you would be a megastar or no star. Today, there are fewer megastars and there are more like kind of stars, right? Like, I mean, an example of that would be me. I am not a mega star rock star, but I have my own fame. I have my own niche. I have my own following. I have my own influence. I have my own celebrity. Hey, excuse you, ma'am. Who taught you this? No, I didn't teach her this. I didn't tell her this was okay. No. You need. I am the good cop. Shauna's the bad cop. Hold on, baby. We'll get you some music here. So I'm in my own way. I have my own thing, but okay. Hold on, I gotta turn it down. I'll get copyright. They'll copyright flag. No, they really do that. Like if there's a little like Minnie Mouse in the background, that'll be YouTube. Be like, oh, flagged. Community guideline strike. So that I would say we're leaving the era of the megastar, which is ironic because Kanye is a megastar. If you're not a visionary and you're not used to the guerrilla mindset way of thinking, you'd be like, wait a minute, that's dumb. Cernovich just said we're entering the death of a megastar, but we're all talking about the megastar Kanye. Yes, because what I do is like Wayne Gretzky said, they go, how do you score so many points? And he goes, I don't skate to where the puck is. I skate to where the puck is going. And people go, well, do you know how Wayne Gretzky figured out where the puck would be going? He did this for 10 years, actually. 10 years. He would just draw the pathway of every hockey game he would watch. He would watch a hockey game and just trace it. And then eventually that became part of his consciousness. Shauna, you didn't know that either. I should put that in my next book. So that's what I do is I've just for 20 years traced everything happening. And then I'm able to see all these things happening before anybody else because it's become part of my consciousness. So even though Kanye is a megastar, we're entering an era where there are no more megastars. We're in a post-megastar area. We are now in a, I don't know, what is not quite mega, but it's still big, like the mini-star era. Yeah, so we're leaving the era of the megastar and we're entering the era of the mini-star. And the mini-star is going to be, you're going to have to find alliances in ways that you don't know. Wait, alliances? Decentralization? Oh, democracy. Are you putting it all together now? The wisdom that we speak about, it should now all be crystallizing. So it used to be if you wanted to win the presidency, you needed the New York Times, Washington Post, a few media outlets. If you want to be president 2020, you're going to need the Paul Joseph Watsons. You're going to need the Jack Posobics. You're going to need the John Legends, the Christie. You're going to need all of them left, right, and middle. You're going to have to cobble together your own following of minor stars or mini stars or internet celebrities or whatever you want to call it. You're going to have to cobble together coalitions. And that's what I mean by decentralization. You can't just say, okay, here's the way it's going to be. If you're on the left and you're not watching El Chapo Trap House, why does the alt-right, which doesn't exist, get more media attention than El Chapo Trap House? Well, El Chapo Trap House and the scumbag left are way more. By the way, I'm looking beastly. If you notice, you see my deltoid here kind of protruding from my James Purse hooded sweatshirt. I'm looking pretty good. I'm just kind of pointing that out. I think it's the haircut maybe showcases my features better. But why isn't the media not giving more attention to the dirtbag left, the El Chapo Trap House? Because they know that that's their competitors, right? They know the Washington Post editorial board probably could get fewer people out to vote than the CUM Town podcast and the El Chapo podcast and those other podcasts. Because that audience there might be smaller, but it's a stickier audience, right? That's kind of like the pros and cons of this. Many famous, you have fewer fans. And the pro of that is your fans are like very, very, very helpful. The con of that is they take it very personally if you ever say anything they don't like in a way that is just like not rational. So for example, I recently made like a joke about Trump being impeached. I thought it was a clear joke. I literally lost 15,000 Twitter followers. One joke. It was I was, well, yeah, I mean, good riddance, but I just thought it was funny where I just tweeted out, oh, at least I won't care, when Trump's impeached. And I was like laughing. And 15,000, one tweet, 15,000 followers like that. Now well, I think they actually probably were bots. I don't think that's like, but because how many people would have to see that in order to unfollow? But the broader point is that the big megastar fame isn't going to be influence. The influence is going to be the mini stars, the niche stars. And you're going to have to cobble together a whole bunch of different groups. So people see me like I'm friends with the weed heads, right? I'm not a weed head, but I'm friends with the weed heads. Why? Because we can work together, because I don't believe in the criminalization of conduct that we have going on. So if you're a weed, so I'm friends with the weed heads, even though I don't like weed and I think you shouldn't smoke it. I'm friends with them because I believe on an issue with them. And the weed heads don't like me. I'm just some dumb gorilla bro to them. But I'm trying to share a common cause. You see, that's why I'm calling it, we're entering the era of conversation. Caitlin Johnstone is another thing. She's like, I've read her articles about me, which are funny. She's like, one, I think Mike Cernovich is I don't know, I think I'm not the greatest guy in the world. But two, we have to work with people like that if we can work together on, anti-war issues or other issues. That's what I mean by the era of conversation, is because power is becoming decentralized, and it is becoming the red, not the red pill, the long tail. There was a book out there which was The Long Tail, which is hard to comprehend because now Amazon is a monolith. But the draw of Amazon was, if you had these weird niche interests, maybe there's 1,000 people who want to read that book. Well, how do you find those 1,000 people who want to read that book? Well, that's the long tail. So Guerrilla Mindset was initially a long tail book. I initially just wrote it because if you sell 10,000 books and you sell a book a year, you can live off that. But now it's changed, right? I got way bigger than I thought I was. I'm more like I don't know. The long tail is, for those of you who don't know, it's a bell curve distribution. So the idea is some things are going to be like a big hit. The Beatles are in the belly of the curve. The Beatles are going to appeal to, 78% of the population. Who doesn't like the Beatles? Well, a few people don't like the Beatles, but everybody kind of likes them. It's a universal melody, universal music. The long tail is, what about, the weirdo bands, right? It used to be actually EDM was a long tail, and now it's a fat tail, or now it's in the belly of the curve, rather. So there's all these groups now that are fringe, which is a term it's a term you see a lot, which is that they'll go, oh, these people are fringe. Well, one, I'm not fringe, but two, and your point is you're going to have to work with fringe people. The point is you can't now dictate who has a monopoly on attention, who has a monopoly on influence. Even if you think somebody is fringe, you still have to work with them. Why? Because power is decentralized. See? So it's all making sense. So that's what a lot of people are understanding about Kanye, and they're all trying to use him, and they're trying to use him in their own forms. I'm just enjoying the show. I'm not asking Kanye. Have you seen me try to get Kanye? Oh, Kanye, come on Periscope, do an interview with me. I ain't trying to, appropriate him. I actually am kind of sickened by a lot of people, actually. Not to get all racialist on you, but I think it's kind of gross the way white people are being, oh, Kanye said blacks are on a plantation. Well, how about you not say that, right? How does that advance the cause? Yeah. Like one guy said slave 3 times in one tweet. I'm like, well, how does that move the conversation forward? How are you helping anything, right? That's how you actually draw people like that away, is you're like, oh, great, we got this guy. Let's use him to say things we wish we could get away with saying. That's how you lose Kanye. See, because they're trying to ride the drag and they're trying to appropriate him for their own purposes. Why don't you just let him do what he wants to do? Especially for all these people like, we don't care about celebrities. Well, for not caring about celebrities, a lot of people are really trying to ride that dragon right now. I think that's awfully interesting. 2 weeks ago, man, we don't care about celebrities. Shut up and dribble. Okay. Oh, thanks, Kanye. I'm glad you're not just a singer. Whoa, bro. What happened here? How'd we go from shut up and dribble to, oh yeah, don't just be a singer. Think about that. And if you were one of those people saying shut up and dribble, and now you're glad Kanye's tagged in, maybe do a little bit of examination of yourself, right? So I think it's all very, very funny because people are revealing themselves. Things are being revealed. People can't just be happy that Kanye's in the game now in his own way and just let him be him. That's why when Kanye retweeted Emma Gonzalez, I said, Emma Gonzalez, my hero, people were mad. I'm like, well, duh. I mean, what did you think? He's a garden variety, another boring Republican? Have you not been paying attention? And that's another thing too, is that there are no bigger gatekeepers than the political party. Oh, you have to be a Democrat or you have to be a Republican. Why? I'm neither. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. There are issues that I believe in and that I'm passionate about. And as a matter of fact, I'm not getting any love from the Republicans for that issue, right? Or from the Democrats. That's why maybe there'll be another way. So the biggest, most centralized power sources all are political parties. You're either a Republican or you're a Democrat. So if you want to get your issues done, you have to be one or the other. You can't be your own kind of man, your own woman. So that's definitely the mistake people are making. So yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot, but yeah, a lot of the way Republicans are acting towards Kanye is, in my view, racist, actually. Because you're using him to say things you wish you could say, but you don't think you can get away with saying. Like me, I just say whatever. I don't care, right? That's why even when I say things that seem racist, people know that I'm not racist because I just say whatever about anything, right? I just don't care. Because that's what being authentic is. And then they're like, oh, he's just saying things. You know, so that isn't what his heart is. But when you're trying to use someone like Kanye as a mouthpiece to say things you're too afraid to say, see, that's when we got a problem. See, that's when people go, I'm questioning that person's motivation. That means you're not having a conversation. You're just thinking, wow, now that Kanye said blacks didn't leave the plantation, now I can start saying that by quoting him. See? But those same people aren't quoting Kanye and love. That's where the racist component comes in. So if you want to say to people, here's what you should do. Here's how you can tell if your heart is pure. If people are hating you on Twitter and you say, I love you, #Kanye, and then you quote the other things that are beneficial, that means you have a pure heart. That means you understand Kanye and what he's trying to do. But if you only pick and choose when he talks about plantations and that's the only thing you bring up and you don't bring up the message of love, desalinization, you get triggered when he talks about Emma, see, now that tells me your heart isn't the right place. Your heart's not pure. Tells me you need to pray a little bit or something. Open your heart up. Because it's one thing to disagree. It's one thing to say, offensive things, shocking things. One thing to be a shock jock. It's another thing to have an impure heart. And these are different things, right? There's what you say just to get a reaction out of people versus what is really in your heart. So I don't see people spreading Kanye's message of love, which I think is interesting. So people want to quote Kanye on these narrow political issues and use him. That's not love. Love isn't using people. Love would be saying, thank you. Thank you for your criticism. Thank you for your hate. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for telling people about me, even if what you're telling them is a lie, because that leads to an awakening, because the more people who know about Cernovich, the more eyes will be open, because people, I would say probably 30% of people who read my stuff now, they arrived because they would read these things about me that were like so monstrous. It was like, it's actually incomprehensible. I don't want to give my enemy like tips, but they went so far with me that it becomes like a caricature. You don't even believe it. So you're like, oh my God, Cernovich is a this, and that. Like, how could one person, right? How can one person be so accomplished, so adroit at being such a right and insane person? So then people go, oh, wait a minute, like it can't be true. And then they find me because they think that can't be true. And then they realize it isn't true. And that's actually for a lot of people, their red pill awakening is they said, you know, I read about you. And then like I found your stuff and I was like, wow, I've been lied to. And then they question now the entire power structure, the entire centralized power structure. So that's where decentralization comes in. So there are themes emerging. I guess the themes. So if I were saying, what are the big themes of Kanye West? Excuse you, are you trapped? What's going on? The themes of Kanye West are, 1, love. 2, conversation. 3, decentralized conversation. By that I mean they don't have to go on to the mainstream news and talk to each other. They're talking on social media. Think about that. So Charlemagne the God, here she comes your way, babe. Charlemagne the God texts Kanye. Kanye posts their texts on Twitter. That's decentralization. And then the media writes about what Kanye and Charlemagne are saying. Now, a lot of you, maybe if you haven't had articles written about you, you might not fully be like, aha. It might be a little bit, you know, more esoteric. So I'll break it down to you like this. Let's say that I have, who's watching? How many of my friends are watching? Okay, so Allie's here. So Allie's a friend of mine. Let's say Allie and I have a disagreement. Well, 5 years ago, a reporter would say, Mr. Ali Alexander, Cernovich said the following, and it might be a lie. How do you respond? And then he would answer, and then they would ask me, and I would answer. And then you read an article, and it's filtered through the bias of a gatekeeper, a journalist and a media outlet gatekeeper. That's the way most journalism was done. Now, Charlemagne goes, Kanye, I'm reading your stuff. Text Kanye, then Kanye's posting it. Now the journalists are writing about what's actually happening, but you don't even need the journalists for that. You can just go to Kanye's page, right? You can just go to Trump's page. Not Nayu, Bibi. I'm terrible with names. You guys know that. He is engaging in diplomacy directly to the public via Twitter. What is happening on Twitter? I mean, if you were Jack Dorsey, the guy gets hate by people who are just losers. You would think that you built the most important communication device in, I don't know, since the phone. So you now have BBs on Twitter going directly to the people to bypass the media to talk about these documents he found in Iran. Kanye is talking directly to the people, talking to Charlemagne the God via text, and then they're posting Thomas, and then he's posting Thomas Alwell quotes. This is amazing. I don't know how anybody can log on and just not be in awe every day and not think, what a time, right? What a time. That's why I don't need weed. I'm high on what's happening. I don't need marijuana. What you see every day is awe-inspiring. You don't need drugs. Well, DMT, but it's a different story. That's to see the geometry of the world. That's to go into the code. Marijuana just makes people sleepy. It's escapism. But I still support your right to marijuana. Cannabis now. You can't say marijuana is actually... there was a video that saying marijuana is actually racist. Because it has... I'm not kidding. I can show all these videos. It's so weird. A lot of times I'll tell people things and they're like, you're making that up. I can show you like where now this I think is a network. Yeah, I'm not sure who Charlemagne the God is either, guys. I'm not a cool like celebrity sort of star effer. And that's what I'm seeing right now is I think a lot of like I went to Malibu, law school, Pepperdine, Malibu. I've been around celebrities, lived next door to celebrities, shot. Like I've never, because I've been here for 20 years, I don't get like starstruck. Like, oh wow, Kanye's wearing a MAGA hat. And then like somehow feel cool by association because I wear a MAGA hat and Kanye wears, well, I don't even wear the MAGA hat actually. This is the funny thing about it all. But I don't wear the MAGA hat because if I do and somebody takes a baseball bat to my face, you know, Trump doesn't care. So why would I wear an article of clothing that could get me killed when the person who sells the clothing like doesn't even care, right? That's about self-ownership too. There's a lot of people White people on a plantation. Because a lot of people right now, I bet you can be triggered by that. Oh, how dare you, Cernovich? How dare you? How dare you? I don't know, how dare I? Has Trump ever tweeted about violence against his supporters? Has Trump one time said, you know, it's wrong that you can't walk down the street with a MAGA hat and not be assaulted by Antifa terrorists or something? No, but he, you know, when Alec Baldwin makes fun of him and, you know, then he's got something to say. So there are a lot of people on a plantation. If I rep your gear and I'm going to get killed for that and you're not going to say anything about it, then that means I'm on your plantation, you see? So we're all on someone's plantation. We love to, you know, what if you just deracialize? We're all on a plantation. When I'm on social media, I'm a sharecropper. I know it, right? I know it. We're all sharecroppers in the, you know, content plantation. We're all, but everybody's a sharecropper on someone's plantation, because even the most powerful person in the world, there's other people. There's other people there. There's always somebody there. But now, rather than it being just a few powerful people, we now have a large, the power base has gone from here in the belly of the curve to the tails. The power is shifting from a few central tastemakers to the French tastemakers, the niche tastemakers. Yeah, we're all in an ego plantation, right? You know how much infighting there was? I'm not going to go into too much drama, but, you know, there's a reason I don't go to D.C. anymore. If you're an intelligent person, you'd be like, well, I noticed Cernovich used to go to D.C. all the time, and how come he doesn't go there hardly all anymore? Well, so there are people, you know, there are people who, rather than wanting to grow for everyone, there's just backbiting and spitefulness and jealousy and trying to, you know, take people down over nonsense. You wouldn't believe it. And that's where most people are, rather than thinking, how can they build their own sort of niche thing? That's why when people try to make fun of me, oh, you put gorillas on everything. Yeah, because that's my niche, right? That's my piece of real estate, piece of territory, piece of mind space. Mindset, you can go look at it. Even when people make fun of me, they use the term mindset. Baboon, always a baboon mindset. So this, I mean, but you're still using mindset. You're still thinking about mindset when you think about me. So I've buying, you know, all that real estate. So with Kanye, the term now people are going to see is energy. Energy is going to be, you know, the thing people are going to hear about. Spirit, energy, shift, the simulation, formerly kind of esoteric. Previously, esoteric concepts are going to be viewed differently. So now that Cyber's gone, I'm going to go ahead and show you the. So this is Google Trends. So if you go into Google Trends and you type in Donald Trump, and then you type in Kanye. Oh, by the way, we got marijuana people are so defensive. I smoked marijuana for 30 years, never missed a day of work. Who cares? I just made a joke about marijuana. That's what I mean by a weed head. You know, why do people get so defensive? Just smoke weed. I don't care. I'm just joking. So if you feel like you have to get all defensive and triggered because I make a joke about weed heads, who cares? Right? Think that one through. So if you go on Google Trends here and you compare search terms, you can go Kanye West and you can go Donald Trump. As you can see, Donald Trump is the benchmark, the 100, right? Donald Trump is in red. Kanye is in blue. Boom, there's Kanye. So that's how you can demonstrate through just data, right? That's how there are ways to measure influence that are quantitative and not just energy, just qualitative. So when I said to people, I go, oh, well, this is Kanye's internet now. People go, well, the only reason anybody cares about Kanye is because of Trump. I'm like, oh, man, no, that isn't. Just like when people say, oh, you're nothing without Trump. I'm like, no, you don't really understand what is going on and the shifts that are happening. So yeah, that's Kanye. Pretty, you know, it's pretty amazing. So that's kind of how I view the world, as I view things to where they're headed, right? Not just where they are. So here's an example of mindset. So mindset as a term was more or less flat. You can see it in the 25 band, just the term mindset. You can see it in the 25 band, and then suddenly there's a pickup, right? Oh, there's a pickup. And then now, oh, wow, look, it's in a completely different band. And it's reaching new highs all the time, right? Well, what happened? Well, June 29th, I put out Gorilla Mindset. And now when people think of mindset, a lot of them think of me. So you can see there, from there, that's a major inflection point. That's what I mean by memetics. And that's how, you can kind of monitor influence and what's going on is you're taking maybe terms and concepts and using them differently. So now the term I'm going to watch is energy, spirit, shift. And people are going to be talking about more and more and more like that. More and more and more like that. All right, I'm going to read your comments now. Let me read your comments. DC is messed up. Yeah, a lot of spiritual warfare in DC. DC's a lot of spiritual warfare. Google, if you're on Google, hit the like button. Hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube, rather. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're on Facebook, like and share. And if you're on Periscope, tap the screen a few times. Somebody said, you convinced me through explaining Kanye, Scott Adams, Trump, the power beliefs energy. Right, exactly. We're having major breakthroughs right now. Trump is a car crash. I actually don't agree that Trump's a car crash. I think Trump is doing a great job of putting forward a traditional conservative agenda, which is, in my view, the problem, actually. So I think Trump is actually getting a lot done if you're a traditional conservative. Is he getting a lot done for what people wanted him to get done? That's a different conversation we had. But Trump is by far more effective a president than Obama. This is just like objective. Even though I think what Trump is doing isn't really what we wanted him to do and what most of his supporters want him to do, there's no question he's getting things done. Zero, you just can't dispute it. So the idea that Trump is a car crash is just empirically false. It's just simply not true. Somebody said mindset equals Tony Robbins. Well, Tony Robbins is good, but that's actually not true because you can measure the data. So that's what I mean by a lot of ignorant haters will come on and they'll share their opinions, but their opinions are just not accurate, or they're just not true. So people, this happens all the time now where people believe they know something, but they don't actually believe it. They're only repeating what maybe somebody else had told them. And I've been to a Tony Robbins seminar. The seminars are good. The problem is that the upsells are a little bit shady. And can I review the simulation? I'm going to do a whole article on the simulation. Ben Shapiro versus Kanye. I mean, that's just, there's no comparison there. There is no, there's no, come on. Yeah, that's hilarious. It's not hilarious. It's actually just kind of, it's like ill-informed. It's just ill-informed. What else we got going on, guys? I'm checking out here. Trump is getting a lot done. Yeah, no, Trump is objectively getting a lot of stuff done. From my vantage, I don't like, not that I dislike it, but it isn't what was supposed to be done. A lot, and things that should be getting done aren't getting done. That said, anybody who claims that Trump is a chaos agent and isn't getting anything done, that person is just a moron. You can dismiss that person instantaneously as if they just simply know nothing. They're just a dumb person, an uninformed person who's sharing, his or her opinion. It's just really crazy. All right, Facebook. If you're on Facebook, be sure to like my page. I'll talk to you later. Facebook. All right, YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe if you are on YouTube. If you are on Periscope, if you're on Periscope, you probably already subscribed. So redundancy. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Mike Cernovich, cernovich.com, Cernovich. Go there now. I have a new article up on Bitcoin and a cryptocurrency wallet called Exodus, which is quite interesting, quite useful. I think quite highly of it. I don't endorse it. I'm not sponsored. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm only sharing my personal experience. So you can go to cernovich.com.